everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm doing the book Buttercup Hill chapter 2 because I didn't want to do a full video today because I have the stomach virus and don't feel like being on camera. So I did the first chapter, so I decided to do the second chapter today. So enjoy. One morning, Hopkins' mother said, "I was up before the sun today. It was very dark. I thought of Mrs. Flop and Droopy. They live in the shadows all the time." Hopkins nodded his head. "They must be sad," he said. Hopkins said, "Mrs. Fleet, I would like to go to their house today. I made them a cake. I would like you to take it to them." "May I take them some of my flowers too?" Hopkins asked. He always thought of the flowers as his. "You may," said his mother. Hopkins washed his face, combed his whiskers. Mrs. Fleet handed him a spice cake and a little bag. Outside the front door, he stopped. He clipped 3 bright yellow buttercups. Then he hopped and skipped down the hill. He came close to Droopy's house. The air felt cooler, the trees hung low over the roof. All was dark inside. Hopkins tapped on the door. "Hello," he called. "Mrs. Flop? Droopy?" He saw the thorns of the trees and shivered. The door swung open. Mrs. Flop stood frowning. "What do you want in the middle of the night?" she asked. Hopkins took a step back. "Excuse me, but it's morning." "It's not the middle of the night," he said. He held out the flowers. "Just bringing you some sunshine." "What makes you think I need sunshine?" asked Mrs. Flop. "Maybe I like the dark." Hopkins took another step back. "But the sun makes flowers grow," he said. "It makes the rooms bright. It keeps you warm." "I don't need any sunshine," said Mrs. Flop. Hopkins saw something. Droopy was standing behind his mother, still in his pajamas. His floppy ear hid one of his eyes. The other eye stared sadly at Hopkins. But before Hopkins could say hello, Mrs. Flop slammed the door. Hopkins stood still. He thought for a moment. Then he knocked again. "Mrs. Flop," he called. "Perhaps you and Droopy would like some cake instead." The door opened again. Hopkins watched Mrs. Flop's face. She was not frowning as much as before. "What kind of cake?" she asked. "Spice cake," said Hopkins. He opened his bag. Spicy smiles drifted up to their noses. Hopkins held out the bag to Mrs. Flop. She sniffed. "What kind of spices?" she asked. Hopkins scratched his head. "Nutmeg, clovers, and cinnamon, I think," he said. Mrs. Flop's nose wiggled. She did not say anything. Droopy ducked under his mother's arm. He watched Hopkins with one sad eye. Mrs. Flop drew herself up tall. "Go back to your sunny house on the hill," she said. "You may only come because you feel sorry for us. We do not need your spice cake. We do not need your flowers. We do not need pity." And she slammed the door again. Hopkins stood a moment longer on the porch. Then he set the cake on the door. He laid the flowers beside it and went home.